What's going on, everybody? I'm Cade Morehouse with Cage Side Press, and today I'm joined by my man Tyrell Fortune. Tyrell, how's it going, man?
He's doing good, man. Just here in fight week, getting ready to get back in the cage.
How's fight week going for you? How's Chicago?
It's going great, man. It's a lot warmer than it was last year, so that's nice. That's nice. I went on a nice Al Capone crime history tour today, so I got to learn about all the bootlegging and the what's it bootlegging called? What was that era? The prohibition, the prohibition in Chicago and stuff. So that was cool. It's nice to hear the history.
Nice, man. Do you have any other plans this week in Chicago? Maybe after the fight?
No, sir. Just relax and get home.
So set me straight if I'm wrong, but you used to be out here where I'm at in Phoenix, Arizona, and now you're out in Oregon, correct?
No, no, sir. I just bought a house in Mesa. I'm officially in Arizona and I'm staying.
So you're still out here in Arizona currently.
Yes, sir.
How uh how is everything this week leading up to the fight against Marcelo Golm? I want to ask you, what weaknesses do you think he brings that suits your game?
Overall, I just think I'm better than he is in most positions, in every position really. The speed difference I think is what's really gonna showcase and be the ace in the hole. But obviously my wrestling, you look at his takedowns and my takedowns, they're very different. The ground game is very different. And I just think overall, as far as a heavyweight, if you're fast, it's really hard to meet that and change that up as big men. So I think having the speed game in my arsenal, wrestling, and then the boxing and everything else, I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up with me.
I've seen you've done a lot of training in your career with Ryan Bader. What has he meant for your career? And also, what advice did he give you leading up to this fight week?
Me and him haven't been training very much recently, but man, at the beginning of my career, he was. I mean, I couldn't tell you how important and just what it meant to be able to train with the champ and see what he was doing, seeing the kind of work he was putting in, the way he was utilizing his wrestling, and I think I learned a lot from training with him and just being able to see him operate in his camps. It gave me an idea of like, okay, I want to be the best in the world. This is kind of what I need to emulate, what I need to look forward to.
Tyrell, you've had an interesting career. You had a bad weight cut, I believe, right earlier in your wrestling career, correct?
Yes, yes.
And I think I read that they pronounced you dead, right?
Yeah, for 8 minutes.
8 minutes. What was it like going through something so traumatic like that?
It was really traumatic. It was such a traumatic experience that after it kind of happened, I really tried to forget about it. Really until that interview I had done with with ESPN, that I almost like didn't think about it ever again because I didn't want to feel it anymore. It was such a thing to me to be pronounced dead. The way I was strapped into the gurney and having a sheet over my face with a clipboard on my mouth. It was like I knew it was they told me they hit me with a defibrillator 4 times. I was unresponsive and they gave up on me. And so it was scary, really scary to think that I experienced something like that. And no one ever intends to kill themselves from trying to cut weight. So it was something I really tried to put in my past, and then having it come back up and then talking about it more, kind of brought it back to the forefront of like, man, that shit really did happen to me again, and so it's still crazy just to think about it now, again, just it's something that I never want to put myself in a position like that ever again.
Not only did that happen though, then you have two back-to-back fights recently in Bellator where you were struck to the back of the head. One of them you had to actually get stretchered out of the octagon. You know, with all this stuff that's happened throughout your career, what's helped keep you motivated to keep pushing forward in this brutal sport?
Shit, life, man. To me, that's just how life is. Like I don't come from anything. I come from nothing. So for me, life has always been a fight. and I've never wanted to find excuses or reasons to give up. So to me, it's just part of life, honestly. You know what I mean? So that part of it is, fight game, and that's the kind of shit you have to deal with. You got grimy people in the game sometimes, and that's just how it happens. So I don't really put that as far as like I don't try to blame anybody or think of what it is. If you want to fight like that, go ahead, and obviously the shit comes out, we can see it, but that's just, it is what it is.
Speaking of one of your fights, it went your way. You won the fight, I believe, from the disqualification, and
Yep.
then you fight Daniel James, who sort of the same thing happens, and your team protested it, and it took months to come back, and then you got some big news today. Tell me about that big news.
So we immediately contested the fight because of the illegal blows. I mean, and if you watch the replay that Bellator continues to post, you can see that I'm struck to the back and crown of my head 6 times before he transfers it to elbows. That the elbows were legal, but you had hit me 6 times with illegal punches to the back of my head. Dan James is a big man. Not only that, he was a big man on steroids. So I fought a man that was on steroids, and I mean, he was obviously like bigger than like me than as a normal person. I was choking him for about a minute and 15 seconds. I had a rear naked choke squeezing. This man didn't give up. And then I get illegally blowed, and this man was on steroids. So it was they when I contested the fight for the illegal blows, they told me that I lost that contest, just to tell me that 6 months later that, hey, we have another case that is running congruent, and this will be overturned, but we can't discuss why. And it took now almost a year. I'm like 11 months and 3 weeks away from when I last fought him to that I now found out today that he did pop positive for steroids, and that fight was now ruled a no contest. And Bellator wasn't even notified. Bellator found out after I walked from the commission's office to the Bellator office and said, hey, did you guys hear that Daniel James popped positive for steroids? They're like, we had no idea. And I was like, yeah, well, the Chicago Commission just informed me that he popped positive for steroids, and that fight was ruled a no contest.
So walk me through the steps, though, because he was going to fight Davion Franklin, and they pulled up that card because he had a positive test. Shortly after that, 5 or 6 months after, I think, he was scheduled to fight you. You guys fought. And then what happened, and then he had 2 more fights after that. So
before he fought me, because he had popped positive with Davion Franklin, I informed Bellator. I contacted Bellator of this. They obviously knew this information, but I said, hey, what are we doing to make sure that I'm safe fighting him in this next fight, that this man isn't still taking steroids on my fight? And they said, oh, we're gonna test him. He's gonna have to test negative before you guys fight. So they did. They gave him a test. I believe the commissioner from Connecticut, I can't remember his name right now, but he's a really good commissioner. He does his job very well. I really respect him. And he passed that test. So they said, obviously, from the time of that test until we fought, he started taking steroids again. And it's not, they did what they could do and tried to make sure that he was clean. But if you want to cheat, you want to cheat. And so he got back on the steroids. And then when he tested here, he popped hot. But then Chicago isn't under the ABC. So they don't have to report to Bellator. They don't have to report to anyone, and they can kind of take their time and do how they want to do it. After talking to the commission, she informed me that once it goes through them, it's no longer their problem. It's a state issue, and then that's when the state handles it and they make it public, but they don't notify or send emails to either the opponent or even the company that they fight for, which I thought was very bad of business. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're dealing with something like steroids, that's a danger to current fighters that he's still fighting. He's still fighting out of the state and he's taking steroids. And then the person that he fought on steroids, I just think that they would handle it better, seeing that you got people's lives at stake and livelihood. That my career is depicted off of my wins and losses. And now that it's being ruled a no contest, obviously get the loss taken off, which helps my career.
Do you think when you guys fought he was dirty, or do you know?
Oh no, I mean, when I look back at the fight, and I've wrestled my whole life. I got a pretty strong grasp of body and squeezing. when I was choking him in the rear naked choke, I assumed that the fight was over. I was very surprised after a minute of me on his neck, him not tapping out. I've never experienced that before. But you know, when you're in a fight, you're not. I can't register that thin. I'm trying to, you know, figure out how to win the fight, staying safe, and do other things. But after the fight, before the fight, he had talked to my manager. His manager, my manager spoke, Matt. And Matt said that his manager's like, hey, man, I don't know if Daniel James is an idiot. He might pop for steroids. He clearly said that to my agent before. So his agent knows that he's a cheater, clear cheater. And it's just crazy, man. The shit that fighters would do before a fight to win doesn't matter. You know, these people they're cheaters. If they want to cheat, they're going to figure out a way to do it.
So you guys protested like the fight, but I guess my question to you is, how do you think they figured like that your fight had anything to do with that case? I guess is my question to you. Like, how did they figure out that he was still doing steroids if he took a test and it was negative from the time he took that test to the fight? How did they figure he was on steroids?
Because we had an after fight test. So Chicago made us do an after the fight test. So right after we got out of the fight, they had the piss test again, and that's the piss test he popped hot for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess as a competitor, I want to ask you, you put in all this work. I don't know how much, I mean, heavyweights, I don't know how much you guys cut weight or what you guys walk around into, but the matter of the fact is you guys still put in tons of work up until fight night. And then to go into a fight like that where you're expecting the other guy to do what you were supposed to be doing and stay clean and have a fair competitive fight, how much does that anger you as a competitor to know that, you know, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing?
It pisses you off. It pisses me off in the sense of like my safety is at stake when I'm obviously clean and this man is obviously hyped up on drugs. But like I said earlier, it is what it is. If a guy wants to cheat, he's going to do everything he can to put himself in the best position to win. And if that's cheating, that's cheating. You know, the Russian before I fought after him, he got caught lubing up before the fight. Bellator caught him putting on lube and then made him shower before we fought. And then we get out there and fight, and he does the illegal blows to the back of my head. So like when people go out with that mindset of like, I'm going to win no matter what, and I don't give a fuck about the rules, it's not much I can do. And I don't think, you know, as a competitor, I can't go out thinking about that. My mind's got to be focused on the mission at stake, trying to win, trying to close it out, and you know, looking at it like that. But I think it takes too much energy and time if I go into every fight trying to think about, man, is this man going to cheat? I just got to worry about what I'm going to do and go out there and try to get the job done.
Tyrell, we'll move away from that for a second. I want to ask you, obviously you have a big fight coming up this weekend, so it might be the last thing on your mind, but I still want to just get your input on it. Nobody knows what's going on with Bellator right now. After this fight, you know, with Marcelo Gomez, it could be the last time, or you could see Bellator again. You don't know. If Bellator was to get bought out by the PFL or go away completely, where do you see yourself and your career next? Would it be to go to the PFL and stack some wins up there? Or do you think, hey man, I'm ready to go fight in the UFC? Or is it just whoever offers me a deal?
For me, it's always about money contractually. I don't give a damn what the company name is, who I fight for. If you're paying me and taking care of me, we have a relationship. That's what matters to me. So whether that's PFL, the UFC, one FC, it doesn't matter to me. It's the fight game, so it's all the same. You know what I mean? Essentially, what I'm doing. So the main thing is me making as much money as possible as I can, taking care of myself and my family.
Speaking of Marcelo Gomez, real quick, he fought Daniel James earlier this year, I believe, back in March.
Yes, he did.
I believe it was one or two fights after your fight with Daniel James.
It was the next fight after me.
It was the next fight. That was back in March in Temecula, California.
Yep.
Do you think now that, I mean, obviously you don't know what's going on through his head, but do you think now that, you know, the way that he beat Marcelo Gomez and then what happened with you and the whole Davion Franklin, that Marcelo Gomez has it going through his head like, man, maybe I was cheated in that fight?
100%. There's no way that he tested positive hot with Davion Franklin in Paris. He comes home, tests hot with me, and then automatically just stops taking steroids. I guarantee you 100%. If he got a drug test, he popped hot. But most likely, he probably didn't get tested, and so they don't know. And Marcelo, it gets the shit into the stick. And I feel bad for a guy like that, knowing that a guy like Daniel James is a cheater. His record now should show that this man is a cheater. He does not try to fight by the rules, and he shouldn't be allowed to fight anymore. Somebody that has this many pop tests, he should be done. He should be out of the sport. Obviously, he's going to continue to put people at danger and fight dirty.
Let's get into Matt for a second. Matt's one of the best all-around human beings I've met in the sport. He's one of the most underrated managers in the game. What has he meant to your career, and how much respect do you have for that guy?
I have a lot of respect for Matt. I mean, when I first got into the game and we first met, I told him, I was like, man, I have no intentions on the manager. I don't even want a manager. I don't want to work with any agent or anything like that. I grew up with Chael Sonnen since I was a kid. We grew up in the same wrestling club in Portland, Oregon. And so when I first got in the game, I asked him about that. And he said, Tyrell, you're gonna love a manager until you start realizing that they're just taking money from you. He goes, they're not building you a profile and going to these companies and marketing you. They're going through their phone contacts with the people they already have relationships with and just asking their friends to do deals for you, and then take a percentage of a purse that you work hard for. And when I told Matt this and talked to him, and we negotiated our deal very differently and structured it in a way that I felt like it was very respectful to me and to the sport and to him as well. And to me now, it's more about the relationship. You know what I mean? Damn the money so much, but it's I know that I can trust Matt. And to me, that means more than any amount of money. And I believe he is worth every dollar I've ever given him because of who the kind of person he is. He's always been honest, straight up forward with me. And so I never have I don't have any reason, like, he's a great friend of mine now, and an important advisor as I move forward in my career.
What's the first thing you're going to eat in Chicago?
Man, you know what's crazy? I started getting in shape. I was 288. Today, after I worked out, I was 243. So this training camp, I have been doing everything right. I lost over 40 pounds, just making sure that I turned over every stone, did everything possible. So as far as food, I don't know. I'm not too much of a big food person, and we in Chicago, so it's not like I know exactly. I know after I get done fighting, I want to eat Mastros. I want a steakhouse and a butter cake is what I want. So that's what I really want after the fight.
Favorite movie or show?
Reservoir Dogs, for all-time classic favorite movie, or Friday.
Oh, Friday is a classic.
Classic.
Favorite city to fight in?
I would say my favorite city I fought in so far would I really can't call it, because after I fight, I'll be out, and when I'm there for the fight, I'm just there for the fight. I eat food, train, and I fight, and then I'm gone. So it don't really matter as opposed to where it's at. I guess the difference is like the available food that you get to eat. I like Chicago. Chicago's food's been good. So I can say Chicago's a cool city to fight in.
Favorite submission?
Whatever finishes them. Rear naked choke is the only one I've gotten so far. So that's cool.
I heard through the grapevine that you like my boy Dylan Rush. What you got to say about my guy Dylan Rush and all the things he's doing?
No, he's Dylan Rush. Wait, I'm
Rush MMA. Matt said that you knew
Oh,
him.
yeah, no, man, he's cool, man. I love the way his questions that he asks, and I think he's a great interviewer as well, just as well as you are now, because I think you ask great questions that a lot of guys don't ask. You know what I mean? It's kind of repetitive when a lot of these interviewers, you get in these interviews and they ask the same repetitive questions that everybody asks. So it doesn't really open up the fighter to get to know them or the type of person they are, and then what they're going through. Everybody in this fight game experience is very different, and all of us have complete different lives, but we get in there and try to do the same job. So I think that's an amazing thing that a lot of people don't really see. You know what I mean? As people's lives change and develop, and now we still going to the fight game. Like in these last 6 months, I bought a house and I'm married. So my life has completely changed and is going in a different direction than I was when I came into this game. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's amazing about this sport, and it's a very personal thing. You in a cage with another man, and you're putting it all on the line. So I love it. That's the one thing that I love about this sport.
Tyrell, the last 30 seconds of yours. Shout anybody out that you want to shout out. Say anything you want to say to your opponent, whatever you want. 30 seconds. Tell them they can find you on social media, whatever.
I want to shout out everybody that's fighting this weekend. I'm not the only one from my club fighting. We got Grace fighting. We got Leon and Cedric fighting, all in the LFA back home in Phoenix. So I want to shout those guys out, wish them good luck, and let's just all bring home W's.
Tyrell Fortune taking on Marcelo Gome this Friday at Bellator 301. Best of luck, brother. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you.